I was gonna start this video with asking you, have you ever felt stuck in your life? And then it almost felt like I was asking you, have you ever been human in your life? Because of course the answer is yes. We've all felt stuck before, and some of us are probably feeling it right now. Whether you're experiencing some sort of creative block, a writer's block, whether you're stuck not able to make a certain decision in your life, or you're not able to figure out how to handle a certain situation with a colleague or with one of your kids, or even if it's just a general feeling of stuckness. We've all been there. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 questions that you can ask yourself today that will help you unstick yourself. Hi, I'm Muna. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe so you get notified every Tuesday when I release a new video. So first things first, why questions and not statements? Why not just teach you the concepts instead of asking you to ask yourself questions? The simple answer is because this is how our brains are wired. Our brains cannot leave a question unanswered. It's just simply the way it is. I want you to think of it like a loop. Anytime you ask yourself a question or somebody asks you a question, a loop is opened in your mind and your brain just can't help it. It needs to close that loop. And that's why sometimes maybe you're trying to think of someone's name and you're trying and you just give up completely. And then suddenly one day you're driving your car or taking a shower or falling asleep and that person's name just pops up. Why? Because your brain, although you on a conscious level said, okay, I give up, I don't remember the person's name, your subconscious mind did not give up because it never does. Anytime we ask ourselves a question, an answer is going to come eventually. Now, something really important to keep in mind. The level of the question that we ask will determine the level and the quality of the answer we get. The quality of the questions determine the quality of the answers. So if I'm asking myself questions, which we all do, by the way, whether you realize it or not, we're asking ourselves questions all of the time. But if I'm asking myself questions like, why does this keep happening to me? Why is it easier for others? And why am I so unlucky? When I ask myself disempowering questions like these, what kind of answers do you think my subconscious mind is going to give me? Exactly. It's going to give me disempowering answers as well. And the opposite is true. And that's why today's questions, I want you to think of them as open doors. We're just opening up our mind and looking for creative ideas to, this is the only way to unlock our creativity, the only way for us to start seeing things from different perspectives and to start seeing possibilities where in the past we didn't, by asking powerful, empowering, and simple questions that you can start doing right now. By the way, you can use these questions as journal prompts. You can just write down the questions and let your hand and your mind go and allow yourself to come up with as many answers that just get downloaded, that come to you. So use them as prompts for now. Just start thinking of answers as we go, but I really suggest you write them down and use them for later. Now, one last thing, it would be much more helpful and useful and effective if you have one specific thing in your life right now that you can think of where you feel stuck as you go through the questions that we're asking. So don't keep it just on a concept theory level. Let's test it out. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments whether this was helpful or not for you and which one of the 3 questions was the most helpful. Question number 1. What am I gaining from allowing myself to stay stuck in this situation? Let me say that again because I know it's kind of weird. What am I gaining by allowing myself to stay stuck in this situation? I know it sounds a little bit weird because you're telling me, hey, I'm stuck in this particular situation. Of course, I don't want to be stuck. And I believe you, on a conscious level, you don't want to be stuck. But there is something in you that is benefiting from staying stuck. I want you to really, really think about that and internalize it a little bit. I want you to ask yourself, what am I gaining? What is the benefit of me staying stuck? Because you see, sometimes fear disguises itself as a whole bunch of things. And one of them is feeling stuck or not inability to make a decision. There's so many different ways in which fear disguises itself. And this is one of the ways. There is some sort of fear that's lurking underneath the surface. You might not notice it unless you start and until you start digging deep. And I want you to look, what am I afraid of? If I get unstuck in this situation, best case scenario is what? And worst case scenario is what? And what am I afraid of in either case? Am I afraid of people judging me? Maybe I'm stuck on creating a piece of content for you guys. Maybe like I'm thinking, should I do this video or not? I'm stuck there. Underneath that might be a fear of me creating some sort of new type of content, and I'm really worried about what you will think of it. So I have a fear of you judging me. And I would rather be stuck, and of course I'm not doing this on a conscious level again, I'd rather be stuck and say that I'm stuck than put myself out there and put my content out there and risk being ridiculed, being judged, being criticized, and any of these things. So for you, what are you gaining from staying stuck in this situation? Think about this, meditate on this, and like I mentioned earlier, use this as a journal prompt to help you really understand why you are unintentionally keeping yourself stuck. In this question, you need to also remember that part of getting unstuck once we get the answer is to let go of certain things. So in this example that I just used, to let go of fear of being judged. In your case, maybe it's to let go of the fear of failure, to let go of the fear of success sometimes, to let go of thinking that this has to be the exact right decision or I don't know what will happen. Let go of these things. So as a second layer to this first question is to ask yourself, what do I need to let go of in order to get unstuck in this situation? Question number 2 is to ask yourself, how can I have both? Because often when we're stuck, we're thinking in this way. It's either this or that. It's either what I want or what this other person wants. It's either what I prefer or what I don't prefer. And I want to throw it out there that life is not necessarily always black or white. And the either or formula is kind of broken because it keeps us so focused and thinking and believing that those are the only two options. But the reality is there's always a third and fourth and 10th option. So ask yourself and be open to possibilities. If the first answer that just came to you when I said, how can I have both? If the first answer that you got was, no way, it's not going to work. I mean, I thought about it, no way. I invite you to gently let this thought go and instead think, how can they both work? I mean, in a perfect world, let's just be crazy. Let's think about it. Let's brainstorm. Let's throw out ideas that sound ridiculous. Because sometimes in the ridiculousness of throwing out these ideas, a brilliant idea might emerge. But it's only possible for this idea to emerge if you ask yourself the right questions. So, how can you have both? What's the middle ground? What's the compromise? What can you give in order to receive? What can you get in order to give? Whatever you need to do, do it and think about it. And I promise you, very often you'll find a way to do both. Now, another layer within this second question is to ask yourself, who in my life knows more about this than me? Who has experience in this area exactly? And can I go to them and ask them what's a possible third option? How can I have both? Maybe it's a financial issue that you can either buy this or that. You can either take a loan for this and a loan for that, or you can invest in this or invest in that, and you're not able to make that decision because you're thinking it's either or, and you can go to a financial coach or a friend who's really good with money or who's a great investor and ask her or him, how can I have both? And sometimes the answers that you couldn't come up with yourself because you're not the expert in that area will come to you through that friend or that mentor or whoever else is better at this in this area than you. Question number 3 is to ask yourself, what would X person do? And this X person is someone that you admire, that's someone who you respect, someone whose opinion matters to you, someone who's, it could be a person in your life, could be a relative, could be a cousin, could be a spouse, could be anyone in your life that you respect, that you admire, or it can be someone you don't even know in person. It could be I don't know. For me, sometimes I think one of my coaches is called Graham Cochran, and I've been in his membership and I've been coached by him, not directly by him, but within the whole community, and I've watched all of his videos and all of his lessons and all of his trainings. And now when I get stuck with work stuff, I ask myself, what would Graham do? Because I've heard him talk about this so many times, and very often I think of a solution that on my own I wouldn't have been able to come up with. So I want you to think of someone that you respect, that you admire, who you know would handle the situation maybe better than you. Now, something really important to keep in mind here. Just because you love and respect someone doesn't mean that this is the person you need to idealize in this particular situation, or that this is the person that you need to ask advice from in the situation. I'll give you an example. I always say that my dad is one of the people that I love the most in my life. I respect his mind, I respect how he thinks. He's such an intellectual man, so well read. But my dad has been in politics all of his life. He's never owned a business. Money is not something he thinks about, while I own my own business. And I'm trying to make more impact and generate more income. Is my dad the person that I should go to for advice, or to even think, oh, what would my dad do? No, just because I respect him and love him doesn't mean that he can help me in this particular situation. Maybe in other situations in my life and other dilemmas that I might be facing, he would be the perfect person to help me out, but not in this particular example and situation. So those are the 3 questions. Number 1, what am I gaining from staying stuck in the situation? Number 2, how can I have both? And number 3, what would this person that I love and admire do in my situation? I know they sound like such simple questions, but like I mentioned before, treat them as open doors. Enter this door. Allow yourself to be curious and to be open to new possibilities that might come. And remember, the quality of the answers you get is 100% related to the quality of the questions you ask. And whether you realize it or not, you're continuously asking yourself questions. And with every question that comes, an answer comes. So now that we know that the quality is related, make sure to up-level the types of questions that you're asking yourself. Starting with these 3 that I shared with you today, and I hope you find them helpful. Before you go, I want to make sure that you've grabbed my free masterclass from the link underneath this video. It's where I share with you 5 simple tips and tools that will help you literally save hours every single week. There's simple things that you can start applying this week to help you find yourself suddenly free and with time on your hand. And who wouldn't enjoy and like extra time on their hands? Thank you very much for being here until the end. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.